Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of our weekly coaching webinar. I'm really glad everybody can join us. So today, we've been working a lot on our sales process. Let me talk a little bit more about this with you. Talk to you a little bit more about what we're doing on the sales side, what we're finding to be very effective, and really the three stages of the sales process that, when mastered, you could pretty much sell anything to anyone. And unfortunately, I think at least one or two of these stages are missing when most people are out there trying to sell. So today we're going to really take a look at this from our perspective. We're going to take a look at this and look at the current scripts that we're working on the business credit process. Now, I'm not going to yet make this available to you because we're still testing a lot of things. As a matter of fact, right now what we're doing is working with our sales team for all of them to chime in on the things that they find to be the most effective. Actually, I'm laughing because I just bought a new puppy for my kids, and she's running around chasing this ball, which is pretty funny. And I'm working from the home office, so that's why I have ADD and shouldn't be looking at the dog. So anyways, we're going to talk a little bit more about what we found to be the most effective. And what our sales team is doing right now is they're all contributing to help refine a script with all of the best of what they've been able to say during the presentation. So probably the next 30 days, we're going to have a refined script that we're using effectively at Credit Suite that's been tested and proven that I'm going to make effective for you. But the idea of this today isn't to really go through exactly what to say presentation script wise. It's to really give you an idea of how to actually go through a three-stage sales process. You know, how you go through and do a proper interview and set up the questions. Several different ways that you can do a presentation. And what I've read and studied to be the most effective way to really do this, even in a challenged economy. And then finally, the real key to closing, including things like trial closes and how that works. So you can basically get the best structure and process developed for you to effectively sell just about anything to anybody. So that being said, you know, this really starts with three different phases. You've got an interview script, interview process, you've got a presentation process, and you've got a closing process. And I find that most people, hand raised, us included, have in the past skipped at least one to more of these stages, and that's why things aren't effective. I mean, if you're not listening to your sales calls and you have salespeople, you're losing money, so much money. And if you're making the sales in your organization and you're not reviewing your own sales calls, although I know for me personally that was always torture, you're losing a lot of money. Because the most effective things I've learned in running this business the last couple of years have all come 100% of the time from picking up the phone and talking to our customers, or listening to our sales team's conversations with those customers. When something goes wrong, when numbers aren't where we want them to be, when we're not making the sales we want to make, when we go to those sales calls, it's very glaringly obvious right from the beginning where things have gone wrong. So this is one thing I do highly recommend, that you're listening to your own team sales calls, you're listening to your own. There's all kinds of technology out there that could listen and monitor your own calls. We use Zendesk as our CRM, and Zendesk actually tracks all those calls. It actually records all of our calls automatically, so it makes it easy for us. We also use a service called Gong, which isn't cheap, and for a lot of you, it probably doesn't make sense because it's $1,200 per user per year, and they make you pay for it up front. So it's not cheap, but it's been fantastic for us because we're even able to program logic in and what we want to have happen. It monitors things that we want it to monitor. It produces reports. So if I have a script like this, for example, and I want to make sure somebody's following it, then I can just take 2 lines of the script, feed it into Gong, and say on all sales calls, I'm looking for this language. And then Gong will automatically pull out all calls where this isn't mentioned, right? And then it's easy for me to listen to those calls to see our sales team is off script. So that's just one example of what Gong kind of technology can do. That's gong.io. But they're one of many. There's other companies out there that do similar things. But you should be monitoring and recording all of your calls. And if you're doing that, you get a chance to go through. And when you go back through, you're really looking for these 3 stages. Is there a proper interview? Is there a proper presentation? And is there a proper close? So for example, one of the problems we're dealing with right now as an organization, believe it or not, I mean, if I asked you which stage was missing of interview, presentation, and close, you probably wouldn't guess this one. But our sales team is missing out because they're not even doing the presentation. They've got so used to in the past people coming in because they know who I am, they've seen my YouTube videos, etc., that they're always kind of rode the coattails of my credibility to be able to get the sale made. As we scale and we spend more on Facebook ads and Google ads and more people come into our funnel that don't know who we are, then it becomes tougher and tougher and tougher for them to be able to have that kind of success. So that being said, again, it becomes very, very important that you really make sure that you're listening to calls to make sure all three of these stages are taking place. What I'm going to teach you today is pretty applicable no matter what product and service that you sell. And if you're not seeing sales numbers like you want to see after this presentation, you're probably going to be able to go back into your own sales calls, listen, and then you'll find which, if not all of these stages, are not happening as they should. So it all starts right here with an interview sales script. And I will say of the three stages, the interview is the absolute most essential. It's also the one that almost all sales teams neglect and probably don't even do. You know, typical salespeople like to jump right into a presentation and don't like to do a proper interview. But if you don't do a proper interview, you just do not have what you need to properly close the sale. You don't understand the person, the prospect's desires, what they're looking for. You don't understand what their goals are. You don't understand what their pain points are. You don't understand in their own mind what their life is going to look like when that pain is removed. The interview really tees up 90 to 95% of the information you're going to need to close the sale. So if I give you an example of this, if I'm doing a proper interview and I know what somebody's pain point is, I know where they're really struggling, right? I know what they really want, their ultimate goal. I know in their own mind what their goal, what their life is going to look like when that goal is reached and when that pain is removed. Think about how powerful that is to close a sale. It's easy for me to revert back to that and go, hey, Mr. Customer, I know that your real goal is to spend more time with your family and go on vacations. Well, when you have that kind of ammunition, it's much easier to close the sale because you're not trying to do something like sketchy or immoral. You're just reminding the person of why this solution can help them reach that goal. If you understand what somebody's true pain is, then you're able to easily come in and then talk about how the solution solves that pain, how it fixes that pain. And if you know what's really the most painful for them, and then you even know what their life is going to look like when that pain is removed, then it's much easier for you to have conversations with that prospect that are very emotionally compelling because you're talking the same languages about them. You're talking about their biggest fears. You're talking about what they want their life to be like and their goals and what they really want out of life. And when you can get to them at that emotional level and you do what I show you today, which is even dig some of that stuff out of them that they don't even know exists, then you really set yourself up for success. So I'm going to give you an idea here of what an interview script is. I'll talk you through the one that we have. I'll kind of explain different points and different things that you're able to use for your own as well, so you can kind of get a feel for this. Now, when I put together a script, I always do the same thing. Bolding means an upbeat, and then I also oftentimes will also put underline means a downbeat. And that's tonality. They say that about 80% of communication is body language, and when you don't have body language, meaning you're in person, then tonality kind of fills that void. So very little of real communication has to do with the words. It has to do with upbeats, downbeats, being loud, being soft, slowing down what you're saying and speeding up what you're saying as well. Okay, and this is something I've consciously really worked on as well, because all of you know that my mind works pretty fast and my mouth tries to keep up with it. So I have a tendency to talk very fast, but I've really started to embrace this more in live streams and in presentations where I'm able to actually slow myself down quite a bit, or I'm able to raise my voice or really be more quiet. And when you do these things and play on this kind of tonality, this is where people lean in, it's where people pay attention. So whether you're presenting from stages or whether you're doing webinars, whether you're doing live streams, whether you're doing whatever, tonality becomes really important, especially when they can't see you. So I always try to add that in. So let's get started with kind of our tentative interview script. Hey, my name is Ty, and you scheduled a free consultation or attended a webinar, whatever, however they came in, saw us an event, you got a minute. Now, this is a Jordan Belfort technique from Straight Line Selling, and he's got one of the best selling systems I've seen for developing an actual script, whether you like Jordan Belfort or not. But this kind of implies here, got a minute, that you, on an upbeat, got a minute? It kind of implies naturally that, of course, you have a minute. Everybody has a minute, right? And then we say, great. How did you hear about us and how long have you been following us? Now, this is an important question for us, and it's not something you need to ask, but we have this question here because what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out how much they know about us, period. Like, where do we even start with the presentation? Like, do we want to start from the beginning of who Credit Suite is and what we stand for, or do they already have a pretty good understanding with that, okay? And again, we even say here, if they are familiar with us and I've been following us, we'll follow the script below. Otherwise, see the report review script that's in the next session. So we even have two different outcomes for them, okay? And we even say, look, if they either know who we are or they don't know who we are, and I'll explain to you why that's so different. So then I come in and say, awesome. Okay, we're applying here that they have been following us for a while. They do know who we are. Awesome. So you probably know by now that we help business owners like you build credit for your end. It's not linked to your social with no personal credit check, as well as get low rate business loans. Now, what I'm doing right here is I'm just basically saying, look, I get that you told me that you know who we are and what we do, but I'm just gonna by default assume that you're lying. And it's not that people are liars. Honestly, the reality is you're gonna find out as we talk about today, a lot of people are just lying to themselves. Like they don't even know themselves their truth. You know, if they're asking, hey, how long have you been following us? And they're not really sure. They may just give out an answer of how long they think, and it might be the wrong answer. So again, I'm giving a really brief overview of exactly what it is we do, the core benefits of how we can help them. And then I'm coming right in and saying, basically, tell me about yourself. Now, this is probably one of the best questions I love for just about anything. If I'm doing an interview with a new employee, it's always the first question I ask. Because, I mean, people just ramble on. Like, they'll tell you all kinds of stuff on an answer to that question that you never even would have thought of asking just by doing that. The same thing in a sales process as well. When you say, tell me a little bit about your business, look, all of us love to talk about our businesses as entrepreneurs. We love it. And usually, you know, if somebody says, tell me about your business, well, then, you know, if you're like me, you look at that scenario two different ways. I'm somebody that genuinely actually really cares about that, or somebody that doesn't, or I don't know. And if I don't know or don't think they care, I always give a one-off answer, a quick elevator pitch about what we do. But if somebody really shows an interest and says, no, seriously, like that's really interesting, I really would love to know more, well, then I start opening up and telling them more. Like if somebody really shows an interest in what I do, it's pretty tough to get me shut up. But if you are just asking me this on the street, I'm going to give you a quick elevator pitch and then I'm going to back off because I'm assuming just out of courtesy you're asking it. So be careful about that. You know, when you ask this question to tell a little bit more about them and they're just giving you a one-off elevator pitch, you don't want to say, wow, that's amazing, that's interesting. Then kind of call them out on that. Say, man, I appreciate that, but I'd really love to know more. Like, give me some more insight and then dive in deeper to what they say. So one of the best things that you learn in negotiation is to kind of mimic a little bit about what they just said to get them to open up and talk a little bit more. So if they come in and say, hey, well, you know, tell me about your business, I say, well, we help businesses get capital, and we do it by helping them become more fundable and building their business credit and getting all kinds of loans and credit lines in one place. Well, if I just say, wow, that sounds interesting and move on, I can do that. But if I say, well, that's really interesting, how do you do that? How do you make that happen? That's a big open question, because now I've got somebody that heard what I do, and if they weren't really interested, they're just going to step back and walk away. But this person isn't asking me now what I do, they're asking me how I do it, and a how I do it question opens up things a lot more. And what you're doing here is just getting them to basically open up and tell you all different types of things. And again, one of the best questions to take, especially if you could do that, well, how do you do that, or take a little bit of a deeper dive? Because you're going to really open them up to say more than they typically would with any specific answers to questions that you ask. Now, you can see we do exactly the same thing. This is a brilliant question, I think, because it didn't come from me. If it came from me, I'm too humble to call it brilliant. But this did it, and I think it's brilliant. It came from our sales team. Well, why did you start your business? Well, that's a brilliant question, right? Because I can tell you why I did, and my story involves, owning a mortgage company and the whole thing failing, losing everything financially on the personal side, only to find out later that business credit existed and I could have not had the guarantees and liability. Like my whole life's story, I feel like, is really right in this question. Like this is where I can really consciously become aware of everything I valued and became important to me in my life and everything that took off from there. It all came from this, why I started the business. So for a lot of entrepreneurs, we're exactly the same. Why you start your business is a pretty big question. And I love that question because you want to know what the real why is, then that's a great question to ask. Now, here you can see we have tried to ask 5 why questions to get to their real why. Now, this is one of the most important things I'm going to teach you today. It's one of the most important things I may ever teach you. because this is one of the most important lessons I've ever learned before. Okay, and what it is when they're answering this question about their business or telling you more, they're telling you why they started the business, it's good to take a deeper dive. If I'm saying to them, hey, why do you do what you do, or why are you in business? What are you doing this for? And they answer the question. The first answer is never the real answer. Now it's the answer they give everybody. It's the answer they may believe. But when you dive deeper into this and say, well, tell me more, or why, or just even the question and, or what else, those imply more information should come. So if I come in and say, well, why did you start the business? And I say, well, look, I started it because I really, don't think that people should offer personal guarantees on commercial credit. Well, why? Why is that important to you? See what I'm saying? So if I come in and give you a one-off answer and I say, look, I don't think personal guarantees are something that somebody should give. Well, why do you think that? Well, now I'm forced to dive a little bit deeper. And then what's interesting is I don't feel like you're drilling me. I almost feel like I need to know the answer myself at that point. So then I kind of start to look internally and I say, well, look, because I offered personal guarantees, and I owned a mortgage company, and whole thing failed, and I lost like almost everything because I offered personal guarantees. So that's something very close to me. You see how that's a much deeper dive. Just because of asking why that's important, I went from saying, well, I don't think anybody should offer personal guarantees, to telling you openly a whole part of my past story that would have completely changed the dynamic between you and I, because you know that, okay? And then I can come in and I say, well, look, so I almost lost everything, and that was very emotional to me. And then I'm done, and then you say, well, and what else? And then just shut up. Now what's interesting is my mind immediately starts searching for a deeper level of context there. And I say, well, and the what else is that it became very important to me as a cause. I mean, I realized nobody else was talking about this out there, and I decided to be that person. And then when I got into this, I started to realize this whole system existed behind the scenes that people don't know about, that lenders have all this information that we don't know. And then it just became a mission to make sure that you see what I'm saying? I mean, I'm rambling on now. Like, I'm giving all kinds of details. I'm just filling stuff out, because what's actually happening in my mind is I'm trying to think through in real time the answer to your question. And what else is further interesting is I, in my own mind, am drilling down my own real why. And this is the thing, is that, like I said, people lie about this to themselves all the time. And I use this example before on webinars, where one of my really good friends, Tyson Franklin, he's this bloke from Australia that's, roughneck Australian guy that you'd expect. And I saw this first time in real time in a mastermind where this was done to him. Well, why do you do what you do? Well, he was a podiatrist, and he said the typical answer, right? To make money and be my family. Well, why is that important? And they drilled him down, and at about 4 or 5 whys, he got to the point. He said, I just want to spend time with my family, And then he got into the story of what happened to him when he was young and his parents weren't around, and how much it means. And then he just started crying and ran out of the room, and the whole room was silent. And the gentleman running the mastermind couldn't have provided a better example of how this works, because we saw this roughneck Australian go from the person we always knew as a roughneck Australian to bawling in tears, sharing things about his upbringing that he's probably never said publicly, and then realizing real time for the first time in his life that is really what drove him. And the next year he came back, he'd already sold his office, and now he's out spending time with his family, doing the things he loved. So that one thing, drilling him down on 4 to 5 whys, completely changed the whole scope of his life. I mean, completely. I saw the whole thing firsthand. He's still a good friend years later. I get a chance to experience what he's gone through. This is so powerful. It's the most powerful thing I can ever teach you, because when you really drill it down, you're not just getting to their why for your own reason. You're getting them to their own why. You're getting them to realize what's really important to them and why it's important to them. And when you can strike people on this emotional level, well, it's over, because at that point, people make decisions emotionally and justify it logically. And when you're able to connect with somebody at this kind of emotional level, and you're able to sit there at the close and say to them, look, what you've told me you care about the most was spending time with your family. You already told me the path that you're on has you working all the time, and you've got to get the capital that you need to be able to get this person hired and that done to get away from it. You already know between you and I that you have no path forward. That's why we're talking, and I'm giving you a path forward. So what's holding you back? That's a whole different conversation, because you're almost there. You're almost using, I'm not saying their own words against them, but you're hitting them at a level and saying, look, this is important to you, so why wouldn't you? Like, what's holding you back? And when you remind them of their own why, then it's harder for them to resist, because for them to say no, they're basically arguing with their own logic, which doesn't make any sense. So how much money are you looking for to grow your business? Okay, typical question. We like to put a number in their mind of what they're looking for. What type of monthly revenue are you generating? You're seeing qualifier here. This is an income qualifying question. So you always want to add in income qualifying questions, especially if you're selling a higher level product. Okay, you always want to do that, because if you don't, then you don't know if you're talking to somebody that can't buy. And that's rule number one of sales, is most salespeople spend time selling to people that are never going to buy the product. And one of the biggest reasons they're never going to buy is they just don't have the money. So you don't want to ask them how much money they have to buy, because then they're going to lie to you because they don't want to be sold. But by asking the type of monthly revenue they have, that's a pretty typical question. And it tells you if they're generating revenue right now or not. What are some of the biggest issues or problems you're dealing with now? This really is the biggest issue. This is their biggest struggle. This is the biggest pain point, and that's what you're going to try to drill down. Now, you can go about this many different ways, but and word it many different ways, but you really want to come down to the same thing. What's your biggest problem? What are you trying to solve? And then you can even come back and use these 5 whys here. What's the biggest problem that you're trying to solve right now? Well, I need money. Okay, so what are you looking for money for? What are you trying to do with that money? Well, I'm trying to get marketing. Okay, well, how would that change things? Like, if you had marketing, how would that, marketing dollars, what would the organization look like? Well, then we can start running these ads on Facebook that we've been wanting to run, and I think we can get a lot more people to ring our phone and call. That's awesome. That's fantastic. What happens then if more people call? What do you expect the outcome to be on the sales side and output-wise, those things? Well, look, if we were able to run, and then what's interesting is once you start to drill down to whys, they start to get into specifics. Well, we figure if we could run $5,000 a month on Facebook ads, then what we could do is probably make another 10 sales a month, and another 10 sales a month means another $8,000 to our bottom line. Now all of a sudden you start to get to real specifics that you never would have got to if this and question or why or tell me more or any of those type of variants weren't there. And now it's very interesting, because when you drill down to that specific, now you know that their real goal is to free up $5,000 a month of Facebook ads. And that's why I'm saying that close is so powerful, because when you get to close, now, like, dude, I don't know about that. I don't know about this. This is, it's $3,000 to get this thing started. Okay, I get that. I understand it's $3,000, but let's be honest here. If you had an extra $5,000 a month, to be able to spend on Facebook ads, you're making an extra 10 sales a month. That's an extra $8,000 of bottom line. You just told me that's what you need to get another salesman in to take your place, so you could start working on the business, not in it, spend time with your family, right? Yeah, right. Okay, well, you got to think. I mean, we got clients that walk away with $30, $40, $50, $100,000. All you need is $5,000 a month coming for this. One credit card with $5,000 a month will solve the problem. And we've got all this financing, all this credit, improving your fundability. You have no path forward, but this gets you see what I'm saying? I mean, it gives you the ammunition to be able to close, because you can speak to exactly what they want. And then it's a whole different dynamic, because they're going, yeah, you're right. I mean, if I had an extra $5,000 and this thing gets people $50,000, $100,000, all I'm looking for is $5,000. So, and I can't get a loan. I've already tried to loan my bank. And, so then all of a sudden you're speaking to exactly what their biggest pain point is. So how are things going to look for you when you grow? This is definitely putting them in what's called future pacing. We're letting them know. We're saying, hey, look, what was your biggest problem? And then what's that problem look like when it's solved? Okay, so this takes them from a different mindset shift. We take them from pain, and then we say, well, what happens if we solve the problem? You could even say, so how are things going to look for you once we help you get the credit to grow? It almost implies that we are the solution. Actually, we should add that. So how are things going to look for you once we help you get the credit you need to grow, right? So now we're implying that we are the solution, and we're forcing their brain to immediately think about us solving the problem. It's kind of brilliant, really, if you think about it. That's a brilliant transition, because we're taking them from drilling down to their biggest pain to then basically implying that we are the solution, and then getting them to think about how their life is better using us. I mean, you can't do anything better subconsciously than what you're doing right here. Sounds like you got a bright future ahead. We're just glad to be part of it because we know that most businesses fail due to lack of access to capital. And then it's almost like a roller coaster here. We take them from biggest fear to, hey, we're going to here to help you solve that. Then we drop them back down again and say, hey, look, let's be honest though, without us, most people fail. And that's basically what we're implying here. We're glad to be part. Okay, we're glad to be part of it because we know that most businesses fail because they can't get the money. So we're basically implying, well, we're glad to be part of the solution because, like, if we're not part of the solution, we know what happens. Businesses fail. They die. That's the reality. You know that, I know that. But if you look at the language patterns here and the psychology of this, it's pretty smart. What's your biggest fear? Low. Okay, well, what's going to look like when we solve it? Ah, yay, you're implying you can help me solve the problem. Okay, well, then how's things going to look? Or, hey, look, most businesses fail without, someone like us to come in and help. And so it almost then implies that you're kind of on that road if you're not using us. So how much money have you set aside to grow your business, make your dream a reality? Okay, another good thing, because we're talking about taking what they believe they can have and making it real. And then we're also coming in and basically saying, how much money have you set aside to do this? So it's a second income qualifying question. We're basically wanting to see if this person has no revenue, qualifying question 1, okay? And then they're coming in here and then in qualifying question 2, we're then saying how much money they set aside to grow the business. Well, that's pretty smart because what happens now is we're seeing, hey, maybe they don't have revenue yet, but maybe they set a bunch of money to do this. I did. When I got started in mortgages, I traveled doing financial sales and stuff on the road, and I set aside a bunch of money, enough to get me through 4 months of not having to work so I could start making money. So if you asked me how much money my business I was generating as a mortgage broker, I would have told you nothing. But if you would have dug a little deeper and said, well, how much have you set aside to become a mortgage broker or own your own mortgage business? I would have been like, I don't know, like 35, I don't know what it was, like $35,000, $40,000 set aside for that purpose. So that's why you need that second income qualifying question. Then the third income qualifying question is how your personal and business credit now. Now this is kind of has a dual purpose. The first part of it is that if you're telling me your credit's good, well then even if you have no money set aside and no revenue, I know you probably have credit limits that will allow you to be able to buy. The third thing is we're actually getting them to acknowledge that they don't have any business credit. And if they say that it's good, then at this point, we basically suggest that they get copies of their business credit report because most people that think they have good business credit don't have good business credit or don't have any. So we're going to prove it. We're going to make them be accountable for that. But at this point, they're like, the personal credit's got issues and I don't think I have any business credit established. Well, no worries. We'll help you build your business credit from scratch regardless of your credit. So we're still saying don't get down. We are the solution. The reality is we just use this as an income qualifier. Now, if I'm talking to somebody that has no revenue, if I'm talking to somebody that's set aside no money and has bad credit, then I'm not going to pitch them. I'm just not. Now, don't get me wrong. We are going to try to see if they have a good a guarantor possibly to come in for UBF. You have somebody else that may help you, those type of things. But this isn't somebody that's typically going to be able to buy. Really, it's just not. I mean, they're not going to be able to buy because they don't have any money set aside. They don't have any business generating revenue. They don't have any credit that they're able to use. If they don't have a guarantor or somebody else they know, like, and trust that would help set up for them and be a guarantor, well, then that's the final straw. Because at that point, think about it. They got no revenue. They got no money set aside. Their credit's bad because they don't pay their bills. And then on top of all that, they've got nobody around them that even trust them enough to help them. So that's pretty much a negative word, or I'm going to say, look, and what our team would do in that scenario is we'd say, look, we've got some great free information that's going to help you through this process. I'm going to send that to you. And we tell them flat out, look, our services will really help you, but it's a few $1,000s or more. It doesn't sound like you're really set up for that now. But if things change, well, then let us know. We want to help you, but we still want to help you in the meantime by sending you some free information. And then we get off the phone because there's no reason to pitch to somebody that's broke. There's no reason to. Okay. And then this is one of the best questions I think you can ask too. How would you best define success in working with us? What are you hoping to accomplish? So this tells you if they're in line with the expectations or not, what they think we can do, and if that's really reasonable, what we can do. And then this is always our same transition statement. Based on everything you just told me, you're a perfect fit for our business credit building program. Let me tell you a little bit more about how it works, if they are a perfect fit, right? If they're not a perfect fit by this point, we have already blown them off. So that being said, this is a good qualifying script. As a matter of fact, I am going to put this with today's webinar. I'm going to give this to you guys so you can actually use this. But keep in mind, we're making a lot of changes. But after I go through this, I'm like, that's pretty good. That's pretty solid, actually. So it makes sense for you guys to have this. So I'm going to, tomorrow, this will be available for the playback of this in your back office. If you go to partner resources and then live training webinars, you can get it from there. Okay. But that being said, we are going to make changes, and I'll get that to you and make changes. So this is a proper interview. It's very good. We dug out the pain. We know what their real why is. We understand more about them, their business, what motivates them. We also know that they income qualify as well. We have an idea of what success means to them. We have an idea of what their life is going to look like without and with our help. I mean, you've given yourself so much ammunition at that point to be able to come in and to be able to actually succeed in closing the sale. So that brings us to the next thing, which is actually right here, where we go into a report review. Now, this is a little bit different for us. I'm not even going to really go through. I will go through this a little bit. I'm not going to go through it. I will. I won't. I'm not sure. But this is what this is. If they don't know much about us, then what we basically are doing in this script, and we say we give them a free report. We partner with Nav. It's $24 to go to Nav and get a credit report. You can get one for about the same. I can get one for about the same. We pay Nav wholesale, I think $14, $10, I don't know, 10 or 14 bucks for that report. We give it to them for free, so we take a hit, we take a loss on that first report. Now, what you would do here instead of saying free is we just say, hey, look, here's the deal. It's 200 bucks a month to monitor your business credit. If you're cool, like for 24 bucks, I'll help you get a business credit report right now and go over it with you. And that's what we're doing here. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on this, but if they don't know much about us, this is the route we go. Since you recently started following us, I'm going to send you an email with a 6-minute video that talks more about how we can help you get money to grow your business. By the way, are you interested in getting your business credit reports done at Bradstreet Experience for free? Or you could say for like 24 bucks, since you're not giving it away for free. Great. In my email, I'll include a link for to get 30 days of free business credit monitoring experience done at Bradstreet. That free offer is about to expire, so access that link today so you don't have to pay the $200. The bureaus will charge you for those same reports. When you enroll using my link, they'll ask for credit card info, but you can cancel within 30 days without being charged, or you can stay enrolled for only 24 bucks and save 90%, your choice. Once you get your report, I'll follow up and go through it and give you some tips on how to build business credit quickly. Will you have time today to get your report and watch that quick video? What time works best for you tomorrow? Is it okay if I text a reminder? So what we're basically doing here is this. There's a great book called The Challenger Sale. I really, really suggest that you all read this book, The Challenger Sale. And the Challenger Sale, what they did was they realized post-recession, a lot of companies did really well in the recession, surprisingly, and some absolutely failed and went out of business. So they did all this massive investigation to what sales processes were the best. And no surprise, what I've taught you to do is the most effective way to sell, which is you're delivering value at point of sale, not just trying to sell somebody, right? You know me, that's how I'm big on, is teach, educate, help. And then some people will want to work with you and some won't. And guess what? The ones that won't, no big deal. Those people will become the best advocates out there, will fight battles and slay dragons for you because you were willing to step up and do the right thing and help people that just wanted the help and that didn't have the money to pay for it. I believe that's how life should be, okay? But this is the way sales presentation should be as well. Basically, if you don't have rapport with them, you need to build rapport. And you know what the best way to build rapport is? Live a selfless life, like genuinely really be there to help them. And so what we're doing here is we're basically saying, let's get a credit report, and heck, I'll go through it with you. Like I'll get you on another call and I'll give you tips on how to improve your business credit. You're talking to me because you're interested in business credit. Let me help you get a report for free, or again, in this case, you drive them to Nav and help them get it for 24 bucks. Then I'm going to give you tips for free. I'm going to show you and talk to you. And then what we're going to do is get them into a presentation. We're going to deliver value in that presentation. We're going to give them value. So even if they leave, we want them to leave and go, wow, I didn't know that, or man, that was an awesome call. I learned all kinds of things that I never would have learned and never would have known if I wouldn't have had that call. And that's how the Challenger Sale works. When you find a really unique thing that you can offer them that none of your competitors, nobody is, they're going to get off that call and they're going to feel like they really gained something from you. And then that's how you're really going to then move forward and get that's how you're really going to be effective when you're able to basically get them to the next stage, because you're providing value at point of sale, okay? And they're going to walk away feeling like you gave selflessly And that's the type of person that anybody wants to work with. Not to say they're going to buy, maybe they don't have the money, right? But the bottom line is, if I'm talking to somebody and they give me value and help me, then I just out of, if you look at the laws of influence, you know, reciprocity is one of those laws where people feel obligated to reciprocate. And I got to let you know that that's a dangerous thing. I don't do things for people because I expect them to reciprocate. I don't. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite for me. When I started giving freely and genuinely started helping people, because my mortgage business collapsed and I experienced the most painful time of my life, and I just wanted to rescue other people from pain. Like I just genuinely wanted to not have people feel that pain that I felt. Like when that switch turns, then people sense that, and then they want to do business with you because they know you don't have an alternative motive. So I need to be clear about that. You can't take someone like me that genuinely believes that and try to change it and twist it for your own good to try to fake being genuine, and you're really just trying to sell somebody. That's not what this is about. It's about getting somebody into a sales presentation where you deliver value and they know you are, and then trust, credibility, and rapport is built. And if you really understand their problem and you really believe in your heart you have a solution that can help solve their problem, and you believe in their future and what you want to see them accomplish and what is important to them, and you want them to have that, then fight that battle and help them make the link between what they want and what you have, and how it's such a fit to get them what they need. That's what a sales process really is about. And if you don't believe that, then you probably shouldn't be selling. It's just dangerous for you to have the tools I give you if they're done under false pretenses. Bottom line, with this, we're giving value in advance, right? So now we're going to come into a sales presentation here, okay? So our Business Finance Suite helps set up your business where you're fundable, builds business credit for your EIN, and it gets you access to all legitimate funding options in one place. Notice if you were on my webinar last week, this is exactly what I taught you. This is our new sales presentation. We are hitting all three of these at once, right? This is what we do. We do these three things. Have you ever applied for a credit or loan and been turned down? Wait for their answer. Of course they have. Who in this world that's above 18 years old has not been applied for a credit card or loan and been turned down? Okay, didn't feel very good, did it? Okay, and so you're acknowledging, and that's a low it brings it to. It didn't feel very good, did it? No. Well, the problem you face now is that lenders and credit issuers have very specific requirements you must meet to get approved, but they don't tell you what those are, so you apply and got denied. So the first thing we do is help set up your business where you're fundable. This means we look at why you'll get turned down and fix those things before you apply so you can get approved. We've helped so many clients make small adjustments to their business credibility, then they instantly got approved for loans or credit lines when they were previously denied. After your business is set up where it's fundable, next we determine all the financing you get now. So this very first part, I'm just basically saying, hey, look, here's the deal. You've been turned down before? Yeah, you have? Sucked, didn't it? Yeah, sucked. Okay. Well, let me tell you what we do. What we do is help it not suck. We help you not get denied, because the reality is you're getting denied because you just don't know what it is they're looking for. We do know, and we're going to help you get set up where you meet what they're looking for, so you don't get that feeling of failure and denial that you got before the suck. We don't want you to have the suck, so we're removing the suck by making it fundable. That's ultimately what we're saying here. After your business setup is fundable, we determine all the financing you get now. Now, notice what I'm doing here. I'm not jumping to business credit. I'm jumping to the fact that they can get money now if they qualify. And then I come in and tell them how to qualify. If you have good personal credit or a guarantor, have collateral like 401k or stocks, have consistent cash flow over 10 grand a month, there's a good chance you may qualify for a loan right now. Now, if they don't have this, then I'm basically saying, hey, and I'll tell them that in the next sentence. But I'm telling them what it takes to get financing, and I'm even mentioning a guarantor. I'm giving them out if they have none of those. Okay, but even if you have no lendable strength, we can still help you get high limit corporate credit cards to fund your business growth. So I'm saying, look, any way you want to cut it, I have a solution. If you have this, we're going to help you get money right now. I don't want them to think they're going to have to build their business credit to get money. I want to make it very clear that they're going to get a reward right away. But if you don't, then I'm still going to help you, and this is how we're going to help you. This starts with getting you vendor credit to help you buy things like office supplies, marketing, websites, SEO, more. Notice I'm now talking about the stuff that our customers have always told us they want to get. So many people our customers and yours, have complained from the beginning that there weren't vendors that offered real products and services that they needed. So we went and got them and helped them get the ability to report, to bring marketing and websites and SEO where they do have these availability in these vendor accounts now. In about 30 to 60 days, this initial credit reports to the business credit reporting agency established your credit profile and score, which is why what lenders are looking for to make you more lendable. So we're automatically telling them that by building their business credit, it's not only that they're going to get these high limit accounts, but we're also helping them get the money that they can't get if they don't qualify. So you get the money you need to start growing your business right away and become more lendable at the same time. Do you see how that can help you? And now we're entering these breaks. These questions are just breaks. We don't want to just ramble on and on and on and on. What we want to do is we want to open the conversation to see where their head is. And if they say yes, well, then you probably don't want to just continue on. You probably want to drill down more. Well, how do you think that can help you? We want to get them engaged in this presentation. Next, you start getting access to revolving accounts with major retailers like blah, 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 blah. From cell phones to fuel to auto financing and cash credit cards like Visa, Amex, I got to remove that, put MasterCard instead. We help you get approved with no personal credit check or guarantee, and you'll get access to credit within almost all major retailers. What types of things do you need to buy now to grow your business? Now, again, this is opening them up. We're bringing them into the conversation. Look, I need to open an office, and I need office furniture, and I need computers. Well, great, perfect. Because this type of credit gives you the money you need to do many of those things, right? Like you could use Amazon, and I'll give them examples. Well, you could do the furniture and stuff with Amazon. You could get the computers with Apple, with Dell, with HP. This opens up those doors for you. So many business owners try to get a big loan or credit line, get denied, and fail to get their business off the ground. But you can use credit with places like Walmart, Amazon, for most of your other needs. Plus, you'll typically see credit approval limits at $2,000 or higher immediately. And within a few months, you'll start seeing limits at $10,000 or higher. We have clients that get individual credit cards of $40,000 or more. Does the idea of this make sense to you? Do you like the idea? Straight Jordan Belfort right there. Okay, and then we're asking them, do you like this? I mean, conceptually, does what I'm saying make sense to you? And if they say, no, I don't get it, well, then they're confused, and you need to slow down and figure out what they don't get. But if they say yes, well, then we want to say awesome. Not only can our technology make it easy and fast for you to do this, but our real secret sauce is giving you access to your own business advising team. Our team has helped tens of thousands of entrepreneurs like you succeed. You can chat live, email, call with any questions, and they'll call and help coach you through the process. Our team will call you 5 times the first 5 days to help get you credit right away. And working with us literally condenses years of business credit building into only months. This means you can get access to money easier and faster than you ever thought possible. And the best part is that you'll pay less working with us than doing it on your own, because your 401 listing, DUNS number, credit profile activation, DB, Experian, Equifax are all or credit profile activation with the 3 reporting agencies are all included, which usually costs thousands of dollars. And then we say, have you researched us? Are you familiar with our company? And then we're giving in credibility reasons. We have A+ BBB rating, What do you think? Are you interested in getting business credit to grow your company? This is a trial close. So at this point, we're coming in and we're just going through payments with them. Great. You know, our website. Okay, so at this point, this is a trial close. Are you interested? What do you think? Do you like this idea? Yes, I do. I like it. Okay. Well, if you go to our website, you're going to see our prices are as high as $7,000. Now, I think on our website it's not $7 grand, but if you look at the payment options, it is like $7,000 if you add it all up. The reason we do this is called price anchoring. I've taught you this before. With price anchoring here, you're basically saying a really high number, and then you're going to come back to a low number, which is where we are here. Now, Regina says, I've been using this script and it keeps them engaged. I'm struggling with the close, or I'm just speaking with the wrong person. Okay, audience, so I'll talk about that, Regina, when we get to close. It's a great point you bring up, and I want to talk about that as well. So this is price anchoring, high price point. Then I come down to monthly payments. Then I come down to what our one pay option is. Okay, which option works better for you, one pay or installments? Okay, and then I'm giving them, this is called menu closing here, menu selling. So what I'm basically doing is I'm basically coming in here and giving them the difference between 2 options, okay? So that's what I'm basically doing here is I'm coming in and I'm telling them that they basically have 2 options, okay? Hold on one second here. All right, my kids are blowing me up right now on FaceTime because we got a new dog. And so I'm trying to get them to realize that I'm in a webinar so they cannot see their new dog at this point in time. Okay, so which option works better for you? One payment or installments? Menu close, give them 2 options, and here's why. They're either gonna ask a question at this point, or they're gonna tell me which option they want. Let me tell you something, 9.9 out of 10 ain't gonna choose one of two options. Regina brought up a good point. She's like, I think the script's good, it gets them engaged, but nobody's buying. They're probably not gonna buy on this call. The reality is it's a $3,000 purchase. They're not gonna probably buy. It's gonna take a lot more follow-up from you to be able to actually get the sale closed. But the point here is that we're actually able to come in here and then, find out what their objections are, drill them down. What do you think getting access to business credit financing can do for your business? Exactly. This is a perfect fit for you. So what's holding you back from getting started? So we're trying to close again. What part of this don't you think is a perfect fit where you need to think it over, okay, or you need more time or whatever? Are you worried about your potential results, or is it something I've forgotten to cover? Seriously, please level with me. Could it be money? Because I'll work with you on a plan that's affordable. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to dig out what the real objection is. Now, Regina brings up a great point, and I'm sold here. I like the script, but it's kind of subjective because I built the script. You're not going to close somebody with this. What's going to happen is you're going to do all the right things, put all the right nuggets in their head, and you're probably not going to close them. But if you closed them on that call, you could have a chargeback risk because you're forcing them to make too big of a decision too fast, especially if they really don't know you. It's probably going to take a few follow-up calls with them to close, and that's okay. Because in those follow-up calls, you know their biggest pain point. You know how to you know what their objections are. You know what their life is going to look like when the objections or when their problems are solved. You know what they want money for. You know what their life's going to look like if they don't solve the problem. You know what their goal is if they do solve the problem. You know their real why. All that ammunition helps you get to the end. Hey, look, we talked about the perfect solution. I gave you a perfect solution to get the capital that you want. Because remember, you want to hire that sales guy and do that other thing so you can work on the business, not in it, and get time with your family. Is getting time with your family still a priority? Yes, it is. It's my major priority. Well then, okay, great. Well then, did you find another solution? Did you get did you win the lottery? Joke around. Did you win the lottery? Well, no, I didn't win. Okay, great. So are you swimming in cash yet? Are you swimming in money? No, I'm not. So you're still dealing with the same problem, and I presented the solution. So help me get there. Like, I want you to hire the salesperson and get out there and spend time with your family, but something's holding you back. See, now you're hitting them at an emotional level, and that's how you're going to close them. So it's probably not going to close the initial sale. Now, at this point, for Regina's point, I don't even jump into overcoming objections because I'm really not even going to try. If right here in my initial attempts I wasn't able to overcome it, I took 2 or 3 shots here to pull out objections and overcome. At this point, I'm just being a pushy jerk if I keep trying to push, but objections with looping is what would come next. And I maybe got time to read through one of these with you, but probably not all 3. So what looping is this is complete Jordan Belfort sales technique, and I love it. And what the assumption here is that they're not telling you something. They're not ready to close yet, and they're not telling you why. And it's typically an objection of 3 different things. They either have doubts about the company, your company, they have doubts about the product, or they have doubts about you. But since they're not going to tell us, which by the way, people love and hate me for being that guy that tells them. I tell people when I'm getting sold and I don't buy, I tell them why. I said, look, here's my problem. And then sometimes they hate me for it. They hang up. I mean, it's astonishing when I tell people what my actual objection is, how salespeople freak out. They're so not used to people telling them what the real objection is. Like, they just cave. It's hilarious. I swear to you, you should try it. Next time you really don't want to buy something, don't be like, yeah, let me think about it. Tell them flat out the reason why you don't want to buy. And they immediately back off. It's so freaking crazy. Like, I have this company right now that's trying to sell us on helping us close more sales. They're a whole closing organization. And they ran up a trial close, which was pretty good. What has to happen in this moment for you to be confident that you want to move forward, right? And so I came and said, here's the deal. Here's our objection. This is our main objection. They completely went silent on me. There was no response to the objection at all. They completely shut down because I told them exactly what the objection was, and there was absolutely no answer at all, okay? It was crazy. So let me see. It said, this is what it said. However, in the meantime, what is your this is from them. What is your number 1 concern or thing you need to get answered for this to work and get started? That's a brilliant trial close, guys. What is your number 1 concern or thing you need to get answered for this to work and get started? In other words, what do you need to see in place first before you feel ready to say, quote, okay, let's pull the trigger, unquote, and set this in action? That is a brilliant trial close. And I appreciated the trial close so much, I said, well, here's exactly what we're trying to figure out. Here's our objection. You know what I got in return? Nothing. Silence. Because they are not used to people telling them flat out what the truth really is of the objection. So if you're going to do trial closes like that, which by the way, what I just read you is brilliant, trial close, then, you know, I believe in being honest and telling people your customers won't. So you're not going to know why they're not going to close. So we got to come back and we got to put value in the product, value in ourselves, and value in the company. And that's what looping is about. I'll give you an example. Open it up for questions after that. Does the idea of getting access to high-limit business credit accounts regardless of your personal credit make sense to you? Do you like the idea? Yeah, of course I do. Well, let me say this. Finance Suite can only help you get money when no other option can. But the Finance Suite can not only help you get money when no other option can, but you're also saving over $2,000 for doing this yourself because your DUNS number, 411 setup, 411 listing are included. Plus, you save over $2,200 annually on credit monitoring as well. So you can basically work with our team for the same investment as doing it on your own, and you're getting this from us at a highly reputable company. You can look and easily see that we have a perfect reputation with all. So you see what I'm doing right now. What I'm doing is I'm addressing the product. I'm saying, dude, it's basically free. Our system comes with so much awesome free stuff that you're going to pay for that it's basically free because the program is awesome. Now I'm coming to the company, and you're getting this from us, a highly reputable company. You can look and easily see that we have a perfect reputation with all consumer agencies, including Secretary of State, an A rating with BBB, a 0 lifetime complaints, and all other federal agencies. Credibility to the company. And you'll also see, and I'll also still be available. Now where am I moving? I'm moving to me. Also still be available when you enroll. Don't get me wrong, our advising team does a phenomenal job, but my personal success relies on you having success and being happy. So I really want to ensure you're successful with this. Insured spelled incorrectly. Okay, then when you are swimming in credit and growing your business, I know you're going to want to tell your friends and family to refer me. So you can see that what I'm saying is, look, my company, the product is credible. Here's why. The company is credible. Okay, I am credible, and I hate to say it, but look, I'm credible because like I want you to refer people to me. I admit. I mean, I kind of have an alternative motive here. I need you to be happy, and that's a perfect fit for you, and I want you to be happy because then you can refer people to me. Okay, so you can see that it's done in a way where it doesn't make me look shady. I'm basically saying, look, my motivation is to help you succeed because when you get this result that you want, then you send people to me and I win again. Okay, and then I can help, and now we're going through another trial close. I can help you get set up today with full access to your own suite. You can start getting approved to have access to cash within money in days. I can get you started right now. It's just a matter of a little basic information, complete your enrollment. You can access your own system today. Sound fair enough? Okay, and then I'm going, this is all trial close. And if they don't go, then I do exactly the same thing in 2 and 3. I come back and I again put in something about the company, something about me, something about the product to try to get them, as Jordan Belfort says, to a level 10 in all 3. And then when they're in that moment, they can buy. You can go through looping here, and I suggest you do. But again, you're going to get a good feel by now of why they're not going to buy, but they need time, what their objection is, etc. And if you go through this and you go through the looping as well, and they're not closing, they're just not ready to buy. And by now, you very well should have dug out the reason why. If you haven't, well, then they may not tell you, and you may have to continue to follow up. Other thing I didn't mention here in looping is that this is where you're using a lot of your information you got at point of sale as well, or at intake interview. Okay, so when I say here, when you're swimming in credit and growing your business, I know you're going to want to tell your friends and family about me. I would really change that out with what their real goal is. Look, when you're swimming in credit and growing your business, and when you're able to hire that salesperson that you said you wanted to, work on the business, not in the business, free up your time, and you're out chilling on a beach in vacation with pictures of you on your selfies on Instagram and Facebook, then your friends are like, dude, what's up? What's going on? And I'm like, yeah, I want you to refer me. That's what I expect. That's how I would really do it. I would hit them at a personal level. I'd be like, look, when you're swimming in credit, when you've got the money that you need to get the salesperson, right? Using tonality, get the salesperson you said you wanted, right? And then you're able to come in and work on the business, not in the business. And then you're able to take off and go with your family to Jamaica like you said you wanted to. Then what happens? Then you're on the beach in Jamaica, taking that shot of your legs with the feet at the end and the water in the background, right? Now they're visualizing it. And this is literally how I would do it, okay? And then your friends are like, dude, that must be awesome. Those are the people I want you to refer to me. Like, I want you to refer to me when that's going on. So now you basically already implied that you're going to get the result you want, and then that helps me because then I can get more people to refer. So again, that's just an example of how you get this information embedded into that. So I'm going to open this up for questions, but as Regina said, it doesn't guarantee that somebody's going to buy. The buying really comes in the follow-up, and it really is. At this point, you've given your best pitch, and you've gotten a lot of good information from them. And if they don't buy right there, well, then think about it. How many times have you bought with a really good pitch a $3,000 product on the first call, right? I mean, I don't. I do due diligence. You do due diligence. I think about it. I go through budget. There's a lot of things that tie into this decision, but I'm really thinking about it now because you've given me a really good reason to think about it. And now I've given you enough information for you to follow up with me and use that information as more reasoning of why exactly I should buy. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. If you have any other questions, go ahead and put them in here. I'm going to use this version of the script and get it in your back office for you. But again, I will have a new one coming because we're designing a new one now. But I want to make sure I open this up for any questions. Regina says, thank you. I have to do better at follow-up. Yeah, Regina, it is in the follow-up. And I can tell you that when I do webinars and I do the pitch from the company, I do it myself. It's the follow-up from our sales team that makes those sales. It's not me. It's not. I set the stage. I got in there, answered objections, answered questions, talked to them about feature benefit, but it's the follow-up that always closes the sale. You got to follow up with them again and again and again until they tell you they're not interested, or they tell you that they're not going to buy, or they buy. It's the follow-up that makes it happen. And the follow-up, the key to the follow-up is to keep hitting them where they said they had pain. Like, look, are you still struggling with this? Yes, I am. Well, then what are you doing? Like, I gave you a solution to the problem. Do you like to be in pain? Do you like to have that problem? No, I don't. Then why don't you solve the problem? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, okay? So that being said, just some things to keep in mind. All right, so I'm going to open this up to questions, and we'll go from there. I'm doing my second webinar on Thursday. Good job, Regina. That's awesome. Okay, do we have access to the email sequence for follow-up? Well, we don't have one. We don't have a set email sequence for follow-up, actually. Our follow-up is very subjective based on what we discovered here. So we don't have a pre-built email sequence because at this point, we're getting subjective, meaning we don't want to have some typical robotic email follow-up. We want to be following up with them on a personal level, and they're not complicated emails. We're following up and saying, hey, you have time to jump on another call today, type of thing. So we don't actually have a sequence for that, but great question. And I would thank you by name, but I know I would completely mess up your name if I tried. Regina says that 48 people signed up. I need 100. That's congratulations. That's still 48. It's a lot of people on that webinar. Great job. Can you give the website to the sales CRM? Thank you. Well, our sales CRM, we use a Zendesk. And I'll be honest with you, Zendesk is not a CRM. We use it as a CRM, but it's actually a customer service back-end communication tool. We use it as a CRM. So Zendesk, Z-E-N-D-E-S-K. My name is pronounced as Shiwei. Okay. Oh yeah. I would have messed that up, right? That's why I said that. Shiwei. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. I appreciate the question, Shiwei. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to make sure this script is I'm going to fine tune this. I'm going to get this over to our team. This will be available probably tomorrow in your back office along with the webinar. If you have any other questions, reach out to us and let us know. Alan says, hey, it's not important, but we may be relative only me. You tried to program in CS that splits commissions for funding. The third from 9% funding fee for the fee. I have described that for prospect, but no one in your company. I don't understand what you're talking about. Splits commission for funding, a third from the 9% fee. Well, I don't think we don't have a program that splits. Okay, so you're talking about unsecured business financing. You're talking about UBF, the 9% fee there, which is almost 10%, and something that splits the fee a third between you, us, and the lender. But there is no program like that. I think that we get from the lender, like of that 9.99%, the most we get is like 2 to 3% total commission. And then we basically then split that with you guys through the split that our funding team's already told you about. So, and that split varies based on if you're executive or non-executive, et cetera. So there is no splitting of the 9% fee by thirds because the lender doesn't pay us that, Alan. We get paid more than anybody else. Think about it. On deck, foundation, cabbage, right? We get paid more than cabbage gets paid. We have the highest commission split that's out there But even with the highest commission split on that product, I'm pretty sure all we get is 2 to 3% in that range. I don't even know if it's 3, it's like 2.5%, 2.25%, and then that's what we split. So I do not know what you're talking about there, because we've never split it a third, because we've never got that much from the lender to be able to do so. So hopefully that makes sense. Signature borrower, a borrower in business for 20 years plus could create. Yeah, that's what you're describing. You're describing UBF, but there is no split like that on that UBF fee. We don't get that much from the lender to be able to split. We would. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. If you have any other questions, reach out to us and let us know. support@creditsuite.com. Otherwise, I'll see you next Tuesday at 3 o'clock Eastern. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.